Hey guys, this is UC. It's September 19th. Welcome to the weekly episode of iTrade Price, where we go over some of the charts that we follow and trade on the iTrade Price platform. But before we get into our regular chart analysis, some of you had asked me about the setups, the real-time setups that we post on the Twitter feed, the private Twitter feed. What does that mean, and how can we take advantage of that in terms of the charts that you post? So for example, let's look at this Amazon chart, right? This is from Friday around 11:30 I posted, right? So what does this pattern mean, right? So this pattern means, let's actually get to Amazon 2-minute price. So here is the 2-minute chart of Amazon. Okay, so what does this mean? Let me highlight the pattern that I had highlighted there. So there's 11:30. So here's what I highlighted, and before that, this is what I had highlighted. So it was a sell the strength market. So you're looking for short opportunities on any pullbacks. Okay, so this is a pullback setup where the big trend is down and you are waiting for the price to retrace up slightly a little bit, and then you identify a point where you can short it. So again, my point was, when I posted this chart on Amazon about Amazon, was that, hey, when you get to this sort of a channel, look to short right here when it breaks down, and your stop loss can be the top of the recent swing high. So the recent swing high for this was about here, or you can even say this one, because this is so close you can make it sort of a resistance line, right, which is this blue one, 29.72. So if you were to play a short, that can be your chart based stop loss, right? So that's what I meant when I said go ahead and look at this. Where did it go? Okay, I have to uncheck that, sorry. So that this is where you go short when this breaks down. Okay, this is what you were supposed to do. 11:28 a.m. was the time period I took the screenshot, and when I shared it, it was 11:30, 2 minutes after, right? So what does that mean? 11:28, let's see, 11:28 is right here, right? So this is the screenshot that I took, and then in the next 4 or 5 minutes it started breaking down, and then it broke down from all the way 29.59 to like 29.44. so that's a good $15 move. If you are playing an option, an at the money option, or even close to the money option, it gives you good delta, good move. And even if you were to place your stop loss above the swing high, which never triggered, right, because the stock price never went above that, you would have really benefited from this move all the way down. I know I did. I played big because this is one of my favorite patterns to play in a down market when I see something like that, right? So from price action perspective, what does that mean? It means that we are in a downtrend, right? And these are the channels that get you towards this main trend line, right? This was the main trend line down. So if anything goes up slightly like this was the only bullish trend bar in 2 minute, and there were no significant follow-throughs to that 2-minute bar, right? You got this another one right here, which kept the price within this channel, right? So that was a tell that we are getting heavy, and price just wants to keep moving down. So you kind of just short it as soon as it breaks down from that channel. So that was the play that's what I meant when I post that sort of setup. Okay, so just to let you know how to take advantage of that, and then I post them throughout the day whenever I see one. But the idea behind having this platform is that you get to learn this thing. And whenever you see something like that, you see such a setup, you go play that out. And you should know where the stop loss should be for those kind of setups. The idea behind this platform is to educate you and just kind of get you on that learning curve. not just have you blindly follow anybody, me or any for that matter. Okay. All right, let's get started on the weekly update about our chart analysis. So we'll always start with the weekly time frame. So what's going on in the weekly time frame? We have this big trend bar down. Now let's see if we get a follow through next week. But the interesting point is that we are on this 2888 or 2880 if you want to just round it off, which is also a 20 period weekly moving average, right? So that kind of provides some support, and we have some touch points here. So let's see what goes on. But the real picture clears up in the daily time frame. We are in this downtrend, right? We had this indecision bar on Thursday, right? Indecision bar because we closed where we opened that day. And the next day we opened a little bit strong, but couldn't really go for the gap fill here. And in fact, we just gave up all this move. And by the time the day ended up, we retraced back a little bit with a bottom wick, which shows that some buyers are showing up, right? It's not a trend bar like this where there were no buyers, or like this where there were no buyers. So that means there is some there are some buyers showing up now. Okay, and this was the previous support. So let's see if we kind of get another move down and we get to see a hammer bar or long bottom wick or something to convince us that this is a short-term bottom. Okay, moving on to a lower time frame. Let's see an hourly time frame. We are still in the downtrend. So if we were to get a move that takes us up a little bit and into the gap fill, remember this is a gap, right? From Thursday morning we gapped down and then we just kind of moved down. So if we are to move back up and kept moving up and try to fill this gap, this would be a good area to go short again. And not only because we filled the gap somehow, but there is your short-term trend line, right, which should provide some resistance because this 3073 was monthly support, which got broken last week, and now that monthly support should be a resistance, which happens to coincide nicely with the trend line and also a gap fill scenario. So yeah, good place to go short again and see if we move down and make a lower high and try to attempt to break this trend line back towards the upside, or we roll over. So we'll play the scenario whichever plays out, but for right now just keep this in mind. We have a little bit of bottom wick. Let's see if buyers try to push this back up a little bit, or if we go move down and then get back up. So we'll plan accordingly for all the scenarios to play out accordingly. Okay. All right. Let's move on to Apple. Apple miraculously is still holding this major trend line from the March lows, right? It's right there. It did close below the monthly low, but it held that trend line. Not bad. And in the daily time frame, you can see we did give up the 50 SMA, and in fact, if I duplicate this line, we can see somehow not bad. It can go all the way down a little bit if I just keep it like this, but if I were to match the 2 points, this one and this one, this is a good parallel channel, right? And few things to highlight are we had this little gap right here which got filled on Friday. We held up trend line support, right? Not bad. So let's see if we if we move down on the early next week and then move back up, that would be a nice bullish scenario. That means that there is good strength here from buyers to keep the prices up, and then but if we open up strong and then stay strong, move back above 107, 108 level, which would be a good sign that trend line support is holding. And we'll see what happens in the lower time frame, which let me move to a lower time frame and we can kind of see what's going on there. Let's see 2 hourly or actually an hourly time frame. So here's your channel that I was highlighting in the higher time frame right there, right there. Every time we go down, we move back up. Here's your channel. And now we kind of slowly kept moving down. And now let's see if we move back up or not. But if I were to play this to the call side, there are a couple of scenarios I'll just have to kind of consider. And I think I can better highlight that if I move to, let's say, 15-minute time frame, right? So here you can see we have been following this trend line down, right? Every time we touch that trend line, we move down, we move down, we move down. Even in fact, that was like a last 15-minute bar from Friday. We just touched that trend line and moved down, which also happened to be the monthly support, which is now resistance. So if for whatever reason we open strong and then stay strong and try to play this 109.5 area, clear that, and we close an hourly bar, 2-hourly bar above that, okay, that gives me some indication that there is some short-term bottom and we can kind of make our way up a little bit. And if we open below this level or weak and then move back up, that's again a nice bullish scenario. But you don't want to play aggressively bullish until or above you're above 108 level and the short-term trend line. Okay, otherwise you can risk that it can just keep rolling down. Okay, so just kind of keep that in your mind as you time your trade. All right, let's go to, I know we have started following beyond, and it actually looks pretty nice. Weekly, I think it got downgraded. That's why we saw some sell-off towards the last half or last couple of days in beyond last week. But it closed nicely above this all congestion area from like 120 to 142. So not bad. In the daily, we see a lot of bullish trend bars, which means that every time buyers got a chance of a weak open, they pushed the price back up and they bought it. And now this Friday, we are still holding this trend line, right? This trend line, and the Friday bar was not bearish. Actually, it was neutral, I would say. Yeah, we closed weak, but it's not really bearish by any means. It's sort of neutral looking at the trend line. And if I dig into a lower time frame, you'll be able to see a little bit better that we have these multiple nice bullish trend bars with a lack of bearish follow through, right? I mean, the only one was right here, but then it held this trend line right here, this trend line right here. And now let's see if we start creeping back up and try to target this 158.6 area, which was the resistance from last week. Or if we roll over and give up this move towards 142.6 as the first target. Okay, right, so that was beyond. Let's get to Netflix. Weekly time frame, Netflix. All right, we closed this is a daily time frame. So anyways, so we closed kind of below the trend line, not really in an aggressive way, still a little bit of bottom wick, but again, nothing too exciting for buyers right now. Okay, maybe if we move into a daily time frame, it will give us a little bit of better picture and tell that what can we expect or what should we plan to see in this name to kind of play that way. And you can see again trend line down, and now we have this bottom wick where the stock held this previous support, right, so far, which is a good sign. 2 bottom wicks, 2 days, Thursday, Friday, not bad. But again, it's not pushing to the upside, and this 479.4 has been the resistance, and that is the resistance because of this trend line as well. So let's see if we move back up towards it, above 479.4, go for this gap fill towards 483. I mean, if we get there, that could be nice, but would like to play a little short if we get all the way there again, because the major trend is down. And if I see, let's say, a 15-minute chart, and let me zoom out a little bit, let's say 15 days. So here's the bigger trend down, right? And with the bigger trend down, here is our start, and then every time we touch that, should expect some sort of sell-off, right? So if we go strong on Netflix, we break this trend line to the upside, we go for this gap fill all the way to 483.3 area, I can consider short right here for some retrace back towards 470 or 479, I mean 465 area, all that stuff, because that could be a good risk and reward, because the major trend is still down. Only if we start closing above 489, 496, that will be a sort of a tell that, okay, we have some sort of bottom in place for at least a short term. But the real bottom, again, we have to get above 504, 505 to kind of really start seeing some aggressive buyers come in, right? Because right now it's just more sell the strength kind of a thing. Okay, let's look at NVDA. Still above the trend line, but it gets sold off if it opens strong, which it did right here. Open strong, sold off. Open strong, sold off. Strong, strong, and then it just sells off, right? The only day we see green last week was this one, but it couldn't really even go past above the previous day's low, right? We opened strong on Friday, but then sold off. So but we are again holding this 480 sort of area. So if we are to give that up, then the trend line support plus the 50 SMA, this green line, right, can provide some bounce, some support, and then we have this little gap fill which can come into play. So I would be a good risk and reward buyer for this name between 468 and 462 level. Okay, that is a good support area for this one to give us some sort of bounce. But if we open strong, again, we need to have a nice daily close above, at least halfway through this Wednesday's bar, above 512, above the 20 SMA to start seeing some move towards the upside. Because if I show you the the lower time frame, let's say 30 minutes, you can see you're still kind of sideways majority. I mean, between this big 480 and 530 range, $50 range, and we just moved down towards 480, and now from 480, every time it has done here in the recent history, it moves back up. So let's see if it wants to move back up, but I would only play the move back up once we are above this trend line and we get to see some 30-minute or an hourly bar close above this trend line, which will be a tell that yes, we can move towards 505, 512 area. Okay, we'll see how this one goes. Let's look at BA. I was actually hoping that BA would give a nice close, but again, I think because of the market sentiment, it just rolled over and gave us showed us that it still has sellers showing up about 168 all the way to 170 level, because you can see we have top wicks there and then we just have lack of price structure. So every time it comes here, it gets sold off. So this is a good shorting area, but we'll see how this one goes come next week. And sort of a congestion zone right here. If it moves up, then definitely 177, which is the trend line resistance, can be a good target. If we move down, break down from this 156 area as well, which was support from right here as well. If we break down, does not hold this level to move back up. If we break down, then definitely 153, which is the monthly support, which could be a bounce play, but again, I would not play that because it's just it just looks like it would just break down and would like to go all the way down towards 149, 144 if market remains that way and it just wants to kind of make this touchdown of the channel. Okay, anything can happen, but we'll trade what chart tells us, not what we want to see. Okay, let's look at ROKU. ROKU, in fact, did not disappoint me at all. Yes, it closed weak, but relatively strong name. Here's the daily chart of ROKU. Not bad. Even the weekly chart, you can see that it has really nice bullish trend bars and holding the support nicely. This 150, 152 area. I mean, even in this recent, pullback in overall technology sector, this one held pretty nice. Even Netflix gave up, but this pretty good one. I mean, yes, we have top wicks here, but then we don't have any follow through to the downside, not even a touch to this trend line. So nothing wrong with this. Yeah, a little pullback, which is okay. So if we move down to daily time frame, which we already were, actually let's move down to an hourly time frame. So here's the hourly chart. You can see we have this trend line, downtrend line, and then this up trend line, sort of. So we're in the the low end of that one. So if we give that up, I can see some bearish move towards 150 area before it finds support. But if we turn back up, then we can quickly go target the 168 region, and if we break that out as well, 170 as well, which is a little gap here, then definitely buyers can come in, because the higher time frame, it looked nice and it held pretty good. So I would like to keep an eye on this one. Okay, let's look at Tesla last. I am holding some shares in this, as I tweeted out, because I trade this name a lot, very actively. If I look at, I think I took a screenshot on Friday. Where is that? There you go. Yeah. So I was kind of getting in and out of the position, and slowly building into this move, and then started unloading, and I think I only have 40 shares left, 50 shares left for this name that I'm holding in anticipation of a gap up. So let's see what happens. But my thought process was that it held pretty nicely in the recent sell-off, and the only move kind of downwards but still positive was on Thursday. Again, if the sellers had wanted to break this one, this was the day, right? But it did not happen. In fact, we opened up strong, moved all the way down, held this support right here, and then moved back up and gave it a nice close. And then even after market, we moved up. So we closed at like around 450, I think, after market. So yeah, 449.50 or something. So yeah, we closed pretty strong for that day, even in after market. So it can kind of gap up a little bit, and that's my trade, just a gap up move based on this thought process. But looks good, even in the lower time frame. If you look at Tesla, it was giving you nice indication in the hourly as well, that there were multiple bullish bars with literally no downside follow through, right? Literally, you would get this, but even that would give you bottom wicks every time. So it opened weak but shot back up. This was the only bar down which did not get any follow through. On Friday, initial sell off, but held, just kind of filled that gap, right? This one. So nothing too scary. So, and then it did not get any follow through after filling that gap up. In fact, buyers took it all the way back up. So we closed towards the highs of the day. Very nice. And we can see a gap up if market behaves in this name. So that's what we played. All right. So you hope you guys like this week's video. And if you do, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys, and have a good rest of your weekend.